when we finish, you have to close those Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Antoine Brown, Professor of Military Science and Department Chair for the University of Alabama Army ROTC program. I would like to begin by saying welcome to our guest speaker, Major General Cobb, Colonel Vongs, 6th Brigade Commander for United States Army Cadet Command, Dr. Hahn, Associate Provost for Academic Affairs, senior military officials, friends, family, the amazing University of Alabama Army ROTC cadre and staff, alumni, and most importantly, the 2020 University of Alabama commissionees. I won't take too much of your time, but I just want to let you amazing 24 commissionees know how extremely proud I am of you and your accomplishments. Nothing has been given to you. You each truly deserve this moment. This is your day. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing the guest speaker for today's commissioning ceremony, Major General Retired Janet L. Cobb, the 54th General and very first female general officer to graduate from the University of Alabama and current member of the University of Alabama ROTC Hall of Fame. General Cobb has commanded at the detachment, battalion, brigade, brigadier general, and major general levels. She has multiple deployments, the most recent when she served as the Director of Central Command Deployment and Distribution Operations Center in Camp Arif John, Kuwait. Like most great general officers, Major General Cobb has served her time in the Army's headquarters of the defense of this nation, the Pentagon, where she served in a variety of roles, one being the Army Deputy G4. She was also appointed by the Secretary of the Army to serve on the Army Reserve Forces Policy Committee. General Cobb decided to end her military career on a high note as the Commanding General, 81st Regional Support Command, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and Senior Commander, United States Army Garrison, Fort Buchanan, Puerto Rico, culminating in 42 years of distinguished service to this great nation. Her decorations and accolades while serving in the Army are numerous. General Cobb holds a bachelor's, master's, and Juris Doctorate. General Cobb is currently serving as the Executive Director for the USS Alabama Battleship Commission and Battleship Memorial Park in Mobile, Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, I could go on and on, but I will say the most important thing about General Cobb is that she is one of the most generous, kind, and personable senior leaders that I've had the honor to meet. Please join me in watching this virtual message from General Cobb.
Bama commissionees, it's virtual commissioning day. Let's think about that while we remember and pray for all those serving and fighting in the coronavirus pandemic that separates us from each other physically today. I'm Major General Retired Janet Cobb, United States Army. I currently serve as the Executive Director of USS Alabama Battleship Memorial Park. In the last quarter of the last century, I enlisted in the United States Army Reserve. I was commissioned at the university in 1978. 42 years later, after 2.5 years as an enlisted soldier, 2 years as an ROTC cadet, 20 years as a commissioned officer, and 8 years as a general officer, 7 years of that actually on active duty and 2 years deployed in wartime, I retired in 2016. In 1978, had our commissioning speaker had 42 years of service, he would have started his career in 1936. If he was speaking to Specialist Cobb, that would have been 1932. I am mindful of the gap in our age and in our experience, but some things never change, and let me share what I think some of those things are with you today. My expectation, outlook, and conduct was different in every rank, and yet the same. Commissionees, by an uplifted hand and your words, you are endowed with what British General Sir William Hackett called an otherness, an officer's prestige. General S.L.A. Marshall, our Army's chief combat historian for World War II and Korea, regarded an officer's otherness in a different light than General Hackett. Marshall thought the basis of an officer's prestige emanated from what he called the exceptional and unremitting responsibility, with an emphasis on personal honor. Commissionees, personal honor is the trait that I believe stands above all others that you must possess in and out of uniform. Having personal honor is knowing your boundaries, your limitations, your temptations. It may not prevent you from making a disastrous decision morally or ethically, but it will be ever present in your mind as you make your decision on what to do, how to do it, how to act, and how to behave. As Specialist Cobb in 1975, I observed officers, and I tell you this today, let's think about it, because these things still hold true. Don't embarrass yourself with your behavior, because you're my leader, someone I might decide to be like one day. I want to say, there's my LT with pride. As Specialist Cobb, I would have summed it up like this: just don't be too familiar. I don't need another friend. I need an officer and a leader. And the converse is true. Don't be too familiar with your superiors. Don't suck up. Your soldiers will laugh at you, and the people who outrank you will quickly lose respect for you. Be competent in your skills, even early on, because you can't just show up and rely on your NCOs to continually prop you up. Specialist Cobb knew when you had done your homework, and if you were trying to learn the basics of your branch. You're not a technician, but the best officers are known to be able to back up their soldiers because they put the time in. You honor their MOS by learning as much about it as you can. Inspiration to master your trade comes from many sources. During annual training 1975 at Fort Bragg, Specialist Cobb, who was an admin clerk, was looking around and saw the active duty admin officer that was so incompetent that my observation was, as an E4, hell, I can do that. I can become an officer and do better than that. And so I had to put my money where my mouth was, and I did so. Don't be that officer. Don't show favoritism. You'll be asked. There'll be subordinates who can make you look really good. Make sure their motivation is sound. It is all of our jobs as enlisted soldiers and officers to make our boss look good. But that is by making sure your equipment is maintained, your vehicles aren't deadlined, your medical exams are updated, and your soldiers are fit. Don't show favoritism. When I commanded, I told my soldiers, I can't guarantee that I'll treat you fairly. That's subjective. What's fair to top may not be fair to private carpenter, but I can guarantee that I will treat you all the same. Show your concern. Show the soldiers that you lead that you will sacrifice, that you'll eat last, that you'll come in early and stay late. Don't shirk. Don't whine. Show them that you may not max the PT test, but that you'll be in shape and not embarrass them in front of the other platoons. Have a professional demeanor. Show them that you care about them. Don't fraternize. Look, I'm 64 years old now. I'm human, I've been there, but I need to address this. I've seen fellow soldiers cross all the lines. You're human, and you have many, many years ahead of you, God willing. But in that moment, when you have to decide, try to remember all the parties who will be affected, because personal honor is involved here as well. There was a time when some individuals believed that they had a public life, a private life, and a secret life. Those days are long gone. You were born into this new age. This should not come as a surprise to you. Don't do stupid stuff on social media. I gave a speech recently to a young ROTC group here in Mobile. I told them about deploying to Saudi Arabia in 1991, getting mail from home with some bad news. I said, young people, remember this was before email, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, FaceTime, texting, cell phones, and of course, there was an audible gasp in the room. There were the people that were looking at me like I had three heads. But as an adult, I am fairly computer savvy and I understand social media pretty well, I think. As an Army officer, don't spew out all of your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings and opinions on social media. If you think prospective civilian employers check you out now, and I am a civilian employer here at Battleship Park, and I do look at social media, you will be scrutinized in a much harsher way as an Army officer. The last one will prevent about 90% of your problems, not only as a new second lieutenant, but in life. And that is, keep your mouth shut, number one. Politics. Serving officers, all of us, have political opinions. Have your opinions. As a retired general officer, I'm often quizzed on the political scene. Because I'm trained from many years of staying silent on such matters, I still use my standard response. Yes, I do have political opinions, but I'd rather keep them to myself. Keep your mouth shut, number two. Your new job. You won't know it all, and your non-commissioned officers who are there to train you will be more comfortable if you keep your mouth shut, keep your proper boundaries as their leader, and let them show you how it's done. If you keep your mouth shut, you may find you actually know more than they think you know. Or, better yet, they will think you know more than you actually know and will adjust fire and walk carefully. But Specialist Cobb will assure you, if you mouth off, act like you're God's latest gift to your chosen branch, your NCOs will salute and leave you to your fate. Most of your NCOs will always be professionals. They know their business. If they don't, make sure you learn enough to hold them accountable, and don't be afraid to do so. That's your job. It may be old school, but personal honor in the form of acting the gentleman or lady is always appropriate. You must have a personal standard of conduct. In 2012, along with 11 of my fellow general officers, I attended the last of my senior Army schools in New York City. We met with the senior management of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and the senior management and then Coach Joe Girardi of the New York Yankees organization. All discussions were on leadership. One session later in the week was led by General Jim Mattis, who was recently retired from the U.S. Marine Corps and has since served as our Secretary of Defense. He shared with us something he had once told midshipmen at the U.S. Naval Academy. The first thing, my fine young men and women, you must make certain that your troops know where you are coming from and what you stand for, and more importantly, what you will not tolerate. Commissionees, you're embarking on serious business. The Supreme Court of the United States opined that an army is not a deliberative body. It is an executive arm. Its law is that of obedience. No question can be left open as to the right of command in the officer or the duty of obedience in the soldier. Commissionees, you enter the Army in what many calls the most contentious and tumultuous period in American history. That's nonsense. They said George Washington wanted to be a king or emperor. They claimed Andrew Jackson was crazy. Abraham Lincoln was vilified by the Northern and Confederate press, pictured as every type of vile and despicable animal and creature. On and on and on. Franklin Roosevelt was branded a communist. As the old TV commercial of the Mountaintop Guru proclaimed, it has always been thus. The Old Testament book of Ecclesiastes reminds us that there is nothing new under the sun. One of my favorite authors, Herman Wouk, who wrote The Caine Mutiny, The Winds of War, and War in Remembrance, once spoke to a Naval War College audience. These officers had served in Vietnam, and he told them this: in a society riven by social and political turmoil, your job is not to solve the great ongoing problems of social stress, not to despair at the immensity and complexity of these problems outside our country and inside, but to stand and to serve and to improvise, to make do with what we have, to serve in still another kind of revolutionary warfare, and with this service, to give freedom one more chance for one more generation. Commissionees of my beloved University of Alabama, an unspoken truth of taking your officer's oath requires you to be willing to both take life and to give your life on behalf of your country, no matter your branch. That's just about as simple as you can put it. You must translate orders into action, as the ultimate responsibility for mission success or failure lies with you. Conduct yourself with honor. Thank you for raising your hand. Thank you for entering the service of our nation. Thank you for joining my Army. And most of all, thank you for your commitment to give freedom one more chance for one more generation. Take care of your men and women and accomplish the mission. And don't forget to have a little fun along the way. Roll Tide. God bless you.
I, John Charles Crown,
Joseph William Pulia Jr.,
Anaya Elder,
Garrett Joseph, Leland Andrew Harper,
Victoria Perez,
Nicholas Reed Schwartz,
Jesse Benton,
Michael Lewis Swartzky,
Jeffrey Jesus Valera,
Nathaniel Kovach,
Michael Boster, Joseph James Riggs,
Christian Pusalik, Caleb Underbach,
Scarlett Van Meter,
Matthew Hughes,
Jacob Southern, Joshua Hudson,
Sasha Marie Godfrey, Olivia Nicole Sizemore,
Brad Bean,
Kyle Kulik,
Conrad Schmidt.
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion, that I will well and faithfully
Discharge the duties on office which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
Introducing the commissioning class of 2020. Second Lieutenant Bradley Bean. Lieutenant Bean has earned a degree in public health and is commissioning as a medical services officer. Second Lieutenant Jesse Benton. Lieutenant Benton has earned a degree in communication studies and is commissioning as an ordnance officer. Second Lieutenant Michael Foster. Lieutenant Foster has earned a degree in marketing and is commissioning as an infantry officer. Second Lieutenant Anaya Elder. Lieutenant Elder has earned a degree in business administration and is commissioning as an adjutant general officer. Second Lieutenant Sasha Godfrey. Lieutenant Godfrey has earned a degree in political science and is commissioning as a quartermaster officer. Second Lieutenant Leland Harper. Lieutenant Harper has earned a degree in criminal justice and is commissioning as an armor officer. Second Lieutenant Joshua Hudson. Lieutenant Hudson has earned a degree in finance and is commissioning as a military intelligence officer. Second Lieutenant Matthew Hughes. Lieutenant Hughes has earned a degree in criminal justice and is commissioning as an ordnance officer. Second Lieutenant Garrett Joseph. Lieutenant Joseph has earned a degree in human performance and exercise science and is commissioning as a transportation officer. Second Lieutenant Danielle Kovach. Lieutenant Kovach has earned a degree in public relations and is commissioning as a medical services officer. Second Lieutenant John Crowell. Lieutenant Crowell has earned a degree in business administration and is commissioning as a field artillery officer. Second Lieutenant Kyle Kulik. Lieutenant Kulik has earned a degree in operations management and is commissioning as a transportation officer. Second Lieutenant Victoria Perez. Lieutenant Perez has earned a degree in criminal justice and is commissioning as an ordnance officer. Second Lieutenant Christian Puselit. Lieutenant Puselit has earned degrees in political science and history and is commissioning as a signal officer. Second Lieutenant Joseph Puglia Jr. Lieutenant Puglia has earned a degree in business management and is commissioning as a field artillery officer. Second Lieutenant Joseph Riggs. Lieutenant Riggs has earned a degree in communication studies and is commissioning as a field artillery officer. Second Lieutenant Conrad Schmidt. Lieutenant Schmidt has earned a degree in operations management and is commissioning as a transportation officer. Second Lieutenant Nicholas Schwartz. Lieutenant Schwartz has earned a degree in finance and is commissioning as an aviation officer. Second Lieutenant Olivia Sizemore. Lieutenant Sizemore has earned a degree in criminal justice and is commissioning as a military intelligence officer. Second Lieutenant Jacob Southern. Lieutenant Southern has earned a degree in chemical engineering and is commissioning as a chemical corps officer. Second Lieutenant Caleb Underbaki. Lieutenant Underbaki has earned a degree in operations management and is commissioning as a field artillery officer. Second Lieutenant Jeffrey Valera. Lieutenant Valera has earned a degree in marketing and is commissioning as an infantry officer. Second Lieutenant Scarlett Van Meter. Lieutenant Van Meter has earned a degree in business management and is commissioning as a medical services officer. Second Lieutenant Michael Wartsky. Lieutenant Wartsky has earned a degree in marketing and is commissioning as an infantry officer.